Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. This is a series of videos about SolidWorks scripting using Python. And in this video, we are going to cover how to select all points in a solid body in SolidWorks using Python scripting. Okay, let's begin. First, I'm going to create a body here. And for that, I'm going to create a random sketch with a lot of points. And for example, this sketch is fine. I'm going to extrude it. For example, 14 millimeters I think is good. Okay, now we have one solid body in SolidWorks, as you can see it, and it's part of project to select all of its points. For example, we have a point here, we have another point. Let me select it. We have another point here and a lot of other points in this shape, and we need to select all of them for a purpose. For that, let me first explain what should we do to select all the points in a solid body. In previous video, we talked about how to select all of points in one sketch, for example, this sketch. But now we have a solid body and we can't use that function to select all the points in body. So we need to do another things and approach the problem in a different way. Let me explain. To select all the points, we need to first extract all the faces we have. For example, in this body, we have this face, this face, this face, and a lot of other faces. And after that, for example, we extract all the faces. We need to select each of them in a row. For example, I'm going to select this face. Then we need to create a 3D sketch, not a sketch, because we need to get the location of these points in global coordinates, not in a local coordinate. Let me show you. I'm going to select this body first, and I'm going to create a 3D sketch here. Then I'm going to use convert entities. With using convert entities, I can convert this face to a sketch. As you can see here, I can click it here. Now I'm able to use get points function that we talked about in the previous video in this sketch and extract all the points location here. So what we need to do is first get this body, second extract all the faces it has, third converting using convert entities, convert it to a sketch, and fourth we are going to use get points to extract all the point location in each of these sketches. Okay, let me delete this sketch and let's to write the proper script for that. First, I'm going to run my libraries and then connect SolidWorks to Python using running these block of codes. And now we can start. First, we had these two lines in the previous video. We talked about it. The first one is selection manager. We are going to use it for selecting a body or get faces. I explained it in the previous videos. And we have create select data or a SolidWorks select data that we are going to use it for selecting a object. Now we can start coding. I'm going to write the code first and then explain it. Okay, in these three codes, first we are going to use get bodies to. Let me search for it in API help. Okay, let me. In the API help, we can see, I think it's here, it gets the bodies in this part. So for example, in this document, we have this body, we have just one body, and using this function get bodies 2, we are able to get this body as an object. Let me show you the arguments. The first one is body type. Let me see type of body as defined in here. And we are going to use -1 because we want to get all solid and sheet bodies. And for the second argument, it says if we set true, it gets the only visible bodies, but if we get false, it gets all the documents. And we are going to use true because sometimes we have a body and we can make it invisible and just use this function properly. In the second line, we are going to select one of our bodies because let me run it first, and let me show you bodies here. In bodies variable, it's a tuple, but we want the first argument. As you can see in the bodies, which is tuple, we have one argument, but if we have two different bodies or even more, this tuple will be had more arguments on it. Okay, so in the second line, we are going to select one of our bodies, which we know it's the male, and at the end we are going to use getFaces function. Let me search it here for you. GetFaces function, and it's very simple. It gets all of the faces on the body, so it's going to get all the faces in this body for us. And as you can see, faces, which is a tuple, has 9 elements, and you can see all of them here. Okay, let me close this one. Okay, now as we talk about it, we need to select each of these faces, create a 3D sketch, then use convert entities to convert this face to a sketch. For that, I'm going to write a code here for just one face, and then we are going to convert it or use it in a for loop. Okay, let's begin. Okay, in these 3 codes, we are going to first select one of the faces. Then we are going to use insert 3D sketch. Let me search it for you in API help. And it's here on the sketch manager. And it's simple as 3D simple sketch, but insert a new 3D sketch in a model. So we are going to use this function, and then we are going to use a sketch use H3. Let me search it for you, and it's here. This function sketch use H3 will convert entities for me or create a convert entities for us, and it has 2 arguments. You can see them right here, and we are going to pass false for both of them. Okay, let me run this block of code here. It takes around 3 seconds and it returns true. Okay, let me see it here, and as you can see, this block of code is able to create a sketch for us in one face in this body, and you can see it here. Now we should going to use the method we talked about in the previous video to select this sketch and select all of these points, and then extract location of each of these points. We have one problem here, and let me show it. This sketch created entities for us, but let me show you the return value. Return value is just true or false. You can see it here. So using this return value, we can select the convert entities. I mean, this is not an object. It is just a boolean. It is just true or false. So what should we do? We have a function in SolidWorks that enable us to select the previous object we created. And let me code it here. This function called feature by position reverse, and if we search it in API help here, it will get the ends from last feature in the document. So if we pass 0, it will get the last argument or last object we created in SolidWorks, and it will save this object in last surface as I specified for it. So now we are able to select this sketch, and we are able to continue to select all the points. Okay, let me to write the rest of code here and then explain it. As you can see, using these 4 codes, I'm going to first select the converted entities or the sketch that just we created them. Then I'm going to get some object from it. We talked about these 3 codes in the previous video, and in the summary with these 3 codes, I'm able to get the object related to all of the points in just this sketch. So using these 3 codes, now I have access to object related to these 4 points. And again, for an example, I'm going to print the location of one of these points here, and the code is like this. And let me delete this sketch first and run this block of code. As you can see, it created a sketch on this surface or face. Then it will print the location of these points. And the location of this point is printed here in meter. As you can see, you can compare it x, y, and z arguments here. As you can see, they are the same. So now we are able to create a sketch, get a point, get all of the points in that sketch, and then print the location. So now I'm going to rewrite these codes here and put them in a for loop, because we need to go through all the faces, then go through all the points and save them in one variable. So let's me to delete these codes here, and I'm going to write a block of code now to be able to save the location all points in that. Okay, let's begin. Okay, let me explain them. I have a variable here called SharePoint location, and I name it SharePoint location because, as you can see here, some points, or it's better to say all of points, are shareable. For example, look at this point here. Let me select it. This point here is appear in this surface and in this surface and in this surface. So we can see the location of this point in 3 different surfaces. So we need to, in the rest of the code, somehow delete duplicates points. So I call this variable SharePoint location. And the rest is like we have a for loop that we go through all of the faces in this body. Then we are going to select one face. We are going to select an inset, or we are going to create a 3D sketch, convert entities, select it, and then with these 2 lines we are going to select these convert entities or the new sketch we just created. Then we are going to get all of its points. Then with this for, we are going to go to all of the points and append their location in this variable. Sorry, I think these 3 lines should be outside this loop. And then we are going to close the sketch and clear selection because we don't need it anymore and we need to go to another face. So using this block of code, we are able to go through all of the faces and then go through all of the points and save the location in this variable. Let me rearrange my windows and run this block of code. Okay. Let me save this document first. And let me run this block of code. As you saw, SolidWorks go through all the faces and create a 3D sketch from them, then use convert entities and create a sketch, and then gets all the points location. Okay, let me rearrange them another time. And now we are able to see SharePoint location. Let me show you SharePoint location here. As you can see, we have 41 points here or 42 points here. Now we need to write a code to separate or delete duplicated points. Let me write this code here and then explain it. Okay, if I want to explain this block of code very fast, you can assume we have 2 tuples. One of them is, let me see, SharePoint location, and other one is points location. So we go through each of elements in SharePoint location and we compare it to all of the elements in point location. If it is not there in point location, we are going to append it to the point location. And if the element is there already, we are not going to append it because it is duplicated. So using this code, we are able to separate duplicated points in the SharePoint location and store them in the point location. Let me run this block of code. Let me show you point location. It's here. And as you can see, now I have 14 elements in point location, and all of 14 elements are distinct. So none of them are duplicated now. Okay guys, this is the end of this video. In this video, we talk about how to select all points in a body using SolidWorks and SolidWorks API and Python scripting. And we wrote 2 blocks of code to select all the points and delete all duplicated points using this block of code. See you guys in the next videos, and goodbye.